The Nature Trust of BC is a leading land conservation organization. We focus on areas that are of ecological significance and we approach the business in a very scientific manner.
The legacy of our original directors has been to find ecologically sensitive regions, be it the riparian zones and the rivers of the Vancouver Island and the mainland, the heart of the Fraser, the drylands of the Okanagan, or the wildlife areas, corridors, and breeding grounds of the Kootenays.
The way the Nature Trust operates is that we have a team of scientists and we have a team of business people, and together we put our power together and we create this incredible organization that can buy pieces of land like this.
My role as a scientist has really been focused on how to maximize the value of the choices we make and where we put our efforts in conservation.
The Nature Trust is preserving areas in British Columbia that are going to become critically important as the environment warms and species ranges that we already know are changing are going to continue to move north.
Behind me is Parkrill Creek East Infill. It has some of the best riparian areas as well as some rocky outcroppings that are very important to maintaining those habitat connections. And if it were to be sold to someone else who may or may not come in and subdivide, put on more houses, convert that land to some sort of intensive agriculture, we lose that area forever. And once it's gone, it takes a really long time for it to come back. So protecting it now is always easier than trying to get it back later.
So when the Nature Trust acquires a piece of land, the first thing we do is develop a management plan for that property. Aside from protecting it through securement, the most important thing about it is maintaining that property and making sure that we as the Nature Trust uphold our responsibility to care for the land for future generations.
We pulled down 9 kilometers of barbed wire fence, cleaned up garbage piles, and there was old barns out in the field that were about to fall over. And so basically we returned it back to a natural state. So we wanted to remove any sign that man had been there and disturbed it and developed it and turn it back into as natural a property as we could.
Conservation land securement and land stewardship. You can't do one without the other. If you secure land, it's part of our mandate to manage it properly so it's maintained in a functional capacity.
As a young man here in Vancouver, I remember going out looking for birds, and one of the species that I was very interested in seeing was the trumpeter swan. At that time, there were very few trumpeter swans around. The species had been persecuted, and it really looked like it was on the edge of extinction. Well, the Nature Trust was one of those organizations that stepped up to try to do something about that. And what they did is they secured some of the key habitats in the Comox Valley and on the Fraser Delta so that the trumpeter swan could make a comeback. Now, when I go out onto the Fraser Delta, I can see those great swans flying over the marshes again, bugling their calls.
Painted turtles are amazing. They've got all these beautiful colors and whatnot, but they are at risk. People were fascinated to see them thriving at Twin Lakes. And so it's great to see that we're conserving that area and they will have a happy home for many years to come.
Yeah, definitely seeing the increase in use by wildlife, and not just elk, but a variety of species from your large carnivores like grizzly bears and mountain lions.
1999, whereby about 75% of the herd of California bighorns died off. It was quite a devastating impact to the local sheep population. The fact that we had a lot of lands that we'd secured for their wintering habitat allowed them to have the space they needed to recover, and they're now back to about pre-die-off population size. So that's a real success story.
One of the things that's fantastic about the Nature Trust is it's not just preserving land this year, but it's this cumulative effect of all the land purchases that they have made. So the sum total of that land has created this great legacy of protection for British Columbia.
Every year, this unbelievable organization does this, gets these key pieces, they identify the key ones, the priority ones, targets them, and gets them secured. And so, we can come out to places like this and realize, it's really the Nature Trust that has done this for us.